You know, with my super speed, I can end this fight in the blink of an eye.
Knows whatever floats your goat. Welcome back to another Division build video, but it's not your typical build video. I've been asked multiple times, whether it be via my social networks, Twitter and Facebook, or been messaged on the back end of my channel as far as what builds that I typically use in the DZ. But before we hop into that, if you happen to be new to the channel, ground and pound that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so that way you know each and every time a video goes up. Be sure to sub and hit that like button if you want your chance to enter into that PS4 Vantage controller giveaway. That giveaway is ongoing and will be given away once I hit 1,800 subs, and we are around 20 away from hitting that first benchmark. But anyways, with all that out of the way, let's hop right into it. As the title suggests and states, these are my 5 PvP builds that I typically use in the Dark Zone. Now each one is situational, depending on the agents I go up against in the Dark Zone. Going with that philosophy, you want to have a repertoire of different builds depending on the situation and circumstances that you find yourself in the Dark Zone. Now typically if I load in and I'm by myself and I'm just looking to warm up and have fun, most people would think that I constantly run a 6-piece Predator's Mark, Deadeye, or my Trolling Nomad build, but in essence I'll actually be using this right here. It is Predsheet to an extent, but not the typical way most people run it. Most people would have a 3 Banshee plus Ninja Bag and then the 2-piece Pred. I like for other agents to assume that I'm running 6-piece Pred, so that way, you know, they instantly either pop their box down or they have to burn through medkits, but when they do, they're not immune from that 6-piece bleed that typically somebody would put on them. I'm doing twice as much base damage, so their box or their medkit is not going to stop the damage that I inflict upon them. I just want them to assume that. So this is one of the builds that I run in the Dark Zone. As you can see, most things, at least 3 I would say on the typical build, is rolled to stamina with roll to firearms, but my main goal is to achieve anywhere between around 535k in toughness to around, I'd say, 560 depending on the build. My Nomad Troll build, I believe I'll get to that in a moment, but it's around like 560k toughness. So as long as I achieve anything around that 530k mark, then I seek everything else into the firearms. Let's go on to the next one. If you all have seen the Bob Lee Swagger builds, then you have seen me use this Deadeye. If you want to know the exact specifications and how things are rolled and the reason why I have them rolled that way, I have all these build videos in depth on my channel. You can look them up. I'll go through and tell you the name of them and the title, so that way you can go straight to them, so that way you know firsthand, in depth, how everything is rolled. This is Deadeye. Everything is rolled to firearms and it is utilized with the Reckless chest piece. If you see any build videos out there utilizing anything else but the Reckless chest piece, just flick away and come over to my channel. This is the exact and perfect way to roll Deadeye. Well, I wouldn't say perfect, but as far as utilizing the Reckless chest piece and everything rolled to stamina, I mean not stamina, firearms, then yes, that's how you most definitely want to roll it. I've seen some people, not going to name any names, but utilize it with the specialized backpack. I've seen some put Savage gloves on there. No. That is not how you want to roll it. And whether it be the M44 or custom M400 or M700 carbon or whatever the case may be, you want deadly, prepared, and incompetent in the 3rd slot. That way, no matter what build someone's using, you can 2-tap them. Unless they're Nomad. Nomad, especially solo, it might take 4, but within 4 shots, their typical build, even with 600k toughness, such as like a Pred build, you can still 2-tap them the exact way I have it here. And the situation I use this in is if I just wanting to have fun, or if the DZ is slow and I want to get things popping, then we'll fast travel, me and my group, down to DZ1. I'll hop in the containers or whatnot. We'll find something that an NPC drops, pop off an extraction, and usually, typically, at least one agent will be nosy and want to come down there and see what's going on. I've gotten some hate comments about how I do this, but typically that's how we do it, to get the rest of the police after us, so that way we can actually PvP. You form that one agent, the other police will show up, and it makes a heck of a time. And instead of going from server to server trying to find things, that's how you typically pop off a server. You don't go looking for agents, you make them come to you. So this is how typically how we do it. And this is my Deadeye build. Now the infamous tampon build, as I call it, the Predator's Mark, this is it right here. Everything but one piece is rolled to stamina. Whichever piece it is, have it rolled to firearms. On your gloves, you either want the SMG or AR, because typically that's the weapon of choice when it comes to Pred, because it gives bonuses to AR and SMG. And on the gloves, besides either one of those, you want crit chance and crit damage. Now, as you can see quickly, I'll go over the weapons. The house that I use with Vicious, Deadly, and Card Counter. Responsive, such as this house I have here, as you can see, responsive is not unlocked, so therefore with the house, you cannot use responsive. Some people prefer unforgiving. No, I would go with Vicious, because I want the strongest max amount of damage that I can inflict with those first 10 bullets, because that will determine your bleed. So I want to be typically at max crit. I believe, let's see, I'm at 55%. That's typically all my DPS builds. I will be at 55% crit chance, 136% crit damage. In order to achieve that, it's besides the mods on your gun, you want crit damage on your backpack and knee pads, and crit chance on your holster and your mask. Now, as my secondary, I call it the poor man's Nomad Resolve. As you can see, it's predatory. Killing a target regenerates 35% of your health over 20 seconds. Usually, if I'm going into a gunfight, or if I'm rogue and agents are coming after me, you can always find an NPC or two just standing around. Kill one of them, so that way you're getting 35% health over 20 seconds. And then as they're coming toward me, then that's why I had the prepared. Damage is increased by 15% when more than 30 meters from your target. And then of course Vicious, just to have the extra crit hit chance for hitting those shots as they're coming in. Typically that's just how I like to use the Predator's Mark build. If I see, in instance, a lot of Nomads in the Dark Zone, in my opinion, this is the Nomad's Kryptonite build. It makes them burn through their procs extremely fast, and also their medkits, and puts their skills more or less on cooldown as far as when it comes to their boxes. And typically, either they're solo or in a group. Once you kill, I hate the groups of Nomads. I wouldn't say hate, they're just a little pesky and nerve-wracking. But you just throw some bleed on them, make them burn through all their medkits, and typically you down one or two, and then they'll run away and keep running until their procs come back. So this is why if I see Nomads and lots of them, I switch to this build and bleed them dry. Now moving on to the fourth. If they are a lot of tacticians, or like if we're a rogue and people are just spamming grenades, and we've been there PvPing for say half an hour, I will switch to my poor man's final measure. As you can see, it's 3 final measure pieces, the ninja bag, and I like DPS builds, therefore to get a little extra damage, so that way I'm inflicting some damage. Then I have the 2-piece Banshee that gives me 10% to targets out of cover. And then plus every 8 seconds I can defuse a grenade, I can consume it, so this way it comes in handy. It helps my team out. I don't have a 6-piece final measure, but if I had a 6-piece, that would probably be this slot here, because I will get the buffs from grenades being thrown in, and it helps my teammates as well as myself. But as of right now, as you can see, my toughness is right around where I typically put it, with the 55% crit chance, 136% crit damage. And it's a lot of fun, but like I said, every build is situational, and it's good to have everything at your fingertips like I do. But of course, some people have a lot more gear than I do. But I do have 4 characters, but everything that I have on all 4 characters is on this one character, so that way I have everything at my fingertips. And if I come into certain situations, then I can switch to whatever I need to better help my team or myself, depending on how many that I'm with in the Dark Zone. Now moving on to my Nomad Troll build. It's the 5-piece Nomad with Rehabilitated Mask. If I'm in the Dark Zone and I want to have fun with all the other Nomads, and for some reason, they'll be accompanied by a D3, but for some reason they'll be all running flame turrets. So I'll run this build because I'm not getting hit by that much damage from their turrets. So Rehabilitated kicks in, and then I'll actually gain health due to that status effect. Whether it be fire grenades, gas. I've even had times, and you can see on my Nomad Wolverine video, that's the name of this build, the Nomad Wolverine. I've been out of med kits and been low in health, and I've had a gas grenade. Toss it at your feet, or toss it towards your enemy, and you're not actually wanting to affect them. Just run into it as you're running toward them, and then that status effect will kick in. You're not taking any damage from it, but it'll completely fill all your health segments and even go back into your overheal. So it comes in handy when you're low or no med kits and your skills are on cooldown to gain some health really fast. Because we Rehabilitated, when it's kicked in with the Nomad resolved, you can gain health twice as fast. So this is my Nomad dependent troll video. Nomads assemble! Now moving on to the final one is the Hexotic build. It is utilizing the Bear's chest piece, specialized backpack, tenacious mask, the Skull MC gloves, and then my best knee pads and my best holster. Now you can use short bow knee pads or the Colonel Bliss holster. Those are the only 2 alternatives when it comes to knee pads and holsters. There's no other options beside those. And since the stats on classified pieces go up to 1401 versus the 1272 on the standard ones, then I prefer the extra 400 points versus just having the fuse time shortened on my grenades, or doing extra damage for the sidearm or whatever Colonel Bliss's holster does. I really don't know what the holster does. That's because I've never used it. And as you can see, I'm utilizing the house with Deadly, Responsive, and Card Counter on this one, and then Vicious, Unforgiving, and Competent on my N4. But it's still typically rolled the same way. All my DPS builds that I run use anywhere around 535k toughness, everything else into firearms. Now, depending on as far as when it comes to skill, such as this one, I use a pulse for the extra damage, and of course my immune box to dealing with other preds. Nomad to do the extra damage. Usually depending on what my other teammates are using, that'll determine if I switch up anything. But usually if I'm not running pred or even running pred, typically now you have to have an immune box because of either other pred or other status effects from anything that you run into, whether it be shock turrets or flame turrets. It's good to always have a couple immune boxes in your group. Now, as far as when it comes to pred, some people have even commented saying a tac link is noob. Well, if you're going to say a tac link is noob, then you can say a blue or a recovery link is the same exact thing. Not everybody can run the same exact ult because you have that cooldown and that you're immune from certain ones, but you can pop a blue and attack simultaneously versus you can't pop blue back to back because there will actually be time in between them in order for you to be able to do that. So that is usually why with my 6-piece, I will run a tac link with my 6-piece pred, because usually when you pop it, as you've seen it in my videos before, you can melt a whole entire squad by yourself with 6-piece Predator's Mark and a tac link. They don't have any boxes. They don't have enough time to react to pop a med kit if they don't have a scuff controller, so that way they can pop a med kit from the paddle on their back. So that is why I use a tac link primarily only on my Predator's Mark. But anyways, I hope I covered all your questions that you have asked me as far as the typical builds that I run while PvP. Like I said, I have a situation where it depends on who I'm going up against in the DZ, and it should be that way for everybody. Nobody should be dependent on one particular build, and whoever they're running in the group with, each build of your teammates should complement one another. It's always good to have a healer in the group. So mix and match, but the ultimate goal is, no matter what you're using in the Dark Zone, no matter what gear set, talent, skills, whatever, the main goal is just have fun. Don't worry about what all the haters say, regardless whether they say you're a noob for running this, you're dependent on running that. Yeah, I make fun of some Nomad dependents, but there's a difference between somebody that uses Nomad versus somebody that is constantly dependent and can only survive if they're running Nomad because they don't know how to use anything else. It's trial and error. In order to get better at something, then constantly use it and you'll actually get better at it. So that is my philosophy when it comes to things. Like I said, the goal is just to have fun, no matter the case. I'm not really that great at the Division. I just try to be entertaining and have fun with it. So that's the goal. Get out there. Try not to be as toxic as a lot of people in this game are, and just have fun with your friends and game. And I can't wait till Division 2 comes out, so that way we can get rid of all these classified gear sets and have a fresh start. But anyways, this is your boy Relentless. I thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys fudging later.